And welcome to the Hot Seat of College Football Show. I am Trent, your host, as today I wanted to talk about my way too early preview for the game between Ohio State and Michigan in Columbus. Let's talk about it. Alright, so before we get into this video, make sure you hit the like button before you leave if you enjoyed today's show. Also, I just want to let you know, thank you so much for the past video. I did a mock draft 1.0. It'll be linked down in the description. It'll be pinned up here sometime in this video. It blew up. It got to like 400 views in a day, which is awesome because it's the off season gets really slow. So thank you guys so much if you watch it. If you have not watched it, I definitely recommend watching. It's my mock draft 1.0. We'll be doing a 2.0 before the draft, and then obviously we'll probably be live streaming for the first round. We'll see if scheduling wise if I'm free. I'll try to do a live stream for the draft, but also remember to hit the subscribe button. We're at 227, trying to get to 230. We are 3 away. So if you want to be one of the 3 people to help us get there, that would be amazing. But for today, I wanted to talk about kind of like a fun toss-up video, just because, you know, it's the off season. We're all waiting for football to come back. UFL comes in a couple days. We got the NFL coming up. Actually, the UFL comes, I think, this Thursday. So I might do a live stream just for the first game, or maybe, you know, do a couple of things for the UFL. Maybe do a power rankings video. If you guys are interested in seeing any UFL content, let me know, because I would love. I'm going to be covering the Aviators, but I would love to cover the UFL as a whole. But right now, I want to do an Ohio State Michigan preview. Just kind of talk about my early thoughts going into this game. Obviously, this game is a year-long. It's a year-long project. The second the game ended the second the season ended, we moved on to this season and this game in Columbus. And like what Urban said, it's a lifestyle. This is not a game week or a game day or a game year. It's a way of life. That's how Urban talked about it. And this will be the 121st meeting in the game. Currently, Michigan leads 62-53-6. That is with the cheating. And if you take away the cheating and give Ohio State 2010 and give us 2020, so that'll make them 60. You got 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 57. It's more like 60, 57. So really, this rivalry is neck and neck. If you gave us our vacated wins back, because you didn't take away any of their wins, you take away their cheating, give us the wins for that, and then give us 2020. It's a lot more even. Either way. Also, it's 52 or 62 and 53 and 6. To be honest, if there is 6 ties, if there is an even amount of ties, just give 3 wins to both. I don't want to see this stupid record where it has 6 ties. Just give 3 wins to Michigan and give 3 wins to Ohio State and settle it. And that should be it. It should be 65, 56. Instead of having the 2 numbers and then the ties. So I think the ties are stupid. I think either completely get rid of the ties, because I hate counting the ties, or since it's an even amount, just give 3 to each. So at least that's how I view it. But I want to talk a little bit about how the game has been the past couple of years, because it really has changed, and especially the past couple months with Sharon Moore being fired, with the whole assault scandal. And now, to be honest, maybe there's a couple remnants left, but really that was it for the Jim Harbaugh era. Everybody's gone. Everybody from Harbaugh is gone. All the players from Harbaugh are gone. I guess Rod Moore is still there, and he played that his freshman year. But, to be honest, really, most of all of the Harbaugh era of Michigan is gone. And you're bringing a new coach, Kyle Whittingham from Utah, and I've been saying this, that I really think this is going to bring a golden era of the rivalry, because the past 5 years has been the most heated, intense rivalry I have ever experienced. But it has been very nasty. And I'm not saying the rivalry is not going to, I'm not saying it's not going to be nasty, but there's going to be some level of respect and integrity. And I love the hate. I love the fighting. But I also, I hear like my elders and my grandparents talk about back in the day, about, I'm like, here Urban says he respects Michigan more than anybody. I mean, Bo Schembechler was from Ohio State, was at Ohio State. And, the 10-year war, I mean, Woody Hayes, I mean, it was hate, but it was respectful. Now it is all disrespect, but now you're bringing in Kyle Whittingham, where, I mean, obviously Dan, Kyle have played before in the Rose Bowls, one of the best Rose Bowls ever, up there with Georgia and the Oklahoma game. So I wonder with for Michigan fans, if you're watching, I'm going to be biased here. I'm going to try to be fair when talking about the other team a little bit. But I'm going to be honest to you Michigan fans, Whittingham will never hate Ohio State. It depends how long he's there. If he's there for 3 years, Whittingham's never going to hate Ohio State. He didn't hate him before. Urban is his mentor. Urban's his mentor. He's never going to, even in the interview where they asked him, do you hate Ohio State? And he goes, I guess I have to. Like, he's not, and that's fine. Obviously, like, for Day, sometimes I wish he hated Michigan less. His team plays worse. The players will always hate each other the most. The fans will always hate each other the most. If the coaches are not, I'm not going to say they're out of it, but if the anger doesn't distract them, like Urban was perfect at it, had the perfect amount of anger, but there's so much respect where he wanted the game to thrive. He wanted it to be a good game, where Day, I don't really see that as much. You talk about the game last year and what that game last year meant to Ohio State. It really completed the national championship. And really, you would have wished you won the Big Ten to really complete it. But beating Michigan, it finally made that national title feel resolved. That it's over. We don't have to worry about Michigan. And that national championship can just sit there in its glory. And, really just ferment. And obviously, breaking the streak was big. If Day were to lose again, he wouldn't get fired, but it would be horrible. It would have been, I don't know. Season would have still been a disaster. Especially if you lose to Michigan, you're out of the Big Ten championship, and then you get bounced in the playoff. You're 11-2 after being 11-0, number one team in the country. Then yeah, but that's over. The streak's over. We're heading into a year where we've beaten them 27-9, beat the shit out of them. Sorry. So I'm sorry. I've been looking at my audience analytics lately, and I realized that like 50 to 70% of you guys watch my videos on TVs, which means there's no speakerphones, which means if I say something, like the whole fan, like someone's wife is going to yell at somebody. I don't want to, I'm sorry. I said a bad word. There might be kids watching around the TV. There might be there might be dinner. I don't know. So I'm sorry. I'm sorry for cursing. I'm sorry. But back to what I was saying. The off season for both programs has been very drastic and very unusual for both. Let's start off with Michigan. Obviously, the head coaching change, the scheme change, that was big. But, at least portal-wise, Michigan didn't have a huge portal offseason. Obviously, like, compared to what it was a couple of years ago, it seems like everyone has a huge portal season. But unlike Ohio State, they have 51 new faces. That's obviously a mix of a lot of high school, I think it's like 2/3 portal, 1/3 high school. So there are there's 51 new faces in the building, plus a new offensive coordinator, a couple new coaches. So it's going to mean a lot of, the game is going to look a lot different than it did last year. Obviously, last year for Michigan, very young team, most of those guys are going to come back. And then for Ohio State, you would assume, especially on offense, most of the guys are coming back. So you would assume that the rosters would be very similar, but at least for Ohio State, the defense is completely renovated. I guess you could say downgraded, but they've had to completely overhaul everybody after you're having 4 top 10 or 4 first-round picks on defense leading for the draft. So the offseason has been very chaotic for both, and it'll be a little bit of a question especially for Ohio State, is how many players on the defense hate Michigan? Like, how are we going to see that? Even though, maybe you want the hate to dial back for the coaches, I want the players to embrace that hate. And I don't know. I know I just kind of asked the question. You guys let me know down in the comments because I don't really have an answer. If you look at the 24 team, after they lost to Michigan, I mean, you could tell Howard hated Michigan. Judkins hated Michigan. Caleb, I mean, lost to Michigan the year before at Alabama in the playoffs, hates Michigan. So I definitely do think that you can get them to hate, but 51 new players. So I don't know. There is a lot of guys from Bama, and Bama's kind of got their ass kicked. Sorry, they've got their butt kicked by Michigan the past couple of years, so maybe they already hate the Wolverines. But yeah, that'll be interesting to see. What does a win or a loss mean for both teams? Oof. Well, if you asked me last year, not much. Well, I guess Michigan had 2 losses, so a lot for them. But if Ohio State, you win, I mean, obviously it means everything. But like for the playoff, that's kind of all anyone cares about anymore is the playoffs. And I mean, you would go to the playoffs either way. You go to the Big Ten Championship or you don't. Didn't really matter. You lost it. Who really cares? I mean, I was at the game, so I cared, but it wasn't the worst thing in the world. Did not help losing to Miami right after, though. So, I mean, I guess you'll take that however you want it. But for this year, woo, schedules are brutal. If I bring up Ohio State's schedule, or I won't even bring up their full schedule. Well, this is most of the schedule, but like they're losable games. Okay. And the non-conference at Texas, losable game. Illinois, At Iowa, losable game. At Indiana, losable game. At USC, losable game. Or Oregon at home, losable game. Then Michigan, losable game. So maybe if you want to take Iowa, I mean, there's 6 losable games. So, I mean, Ohio State could be 9-2 at the end of the year. Like, hey, if you don't beat Michigan, like you might be out. You might be a bubble team. For Michigan's schedule, it's not much easier. They got Oklahoma at home, losable game. Iowa at home, losable game. At Minnesota, that is a tricky one. I'm not going to say it is losable, but it's not like Minnesota's not a tier 1 or tier 2, maybe not even a tier 3 Big Ten team. Penn State, losable game. Indiana, losable game. At Oregon, losable game. And then at Ohio State, losable game. So again, 6 losable games for both. So, I mean, this could be a thing where both teams are going to the playoffs. It could be both teams are completely out of the playoffs and they're just looking for pride. I don't know. I definitely think Ohio State's better positioned for the playoffs, obviously, than Michigan. But, I mean, Michigan, could definitely be 9-2, and then they need to win this game on the road, and they go to the playoffs. So, I don't know, especially with, one of the wins could be out of conference. Maybe they somehow sneak into the Big Ten Championship. Maybe they lose to Oklahoma. Maybe Indiana falls back to the pack, but they lose to Oregon. So they got like 1 conference loss, maybe 2. And if they beat Ohio State, maybe they sneak in. So I think for this year specifically, maybe more than the past couple of years, especially with the expanded playoff, is a win. This is a must win for both teams. And kind of on the question of the day for that, what if Ryan Day loses? Again, let me know down in the comments, how would you feel about Ryan Day if he lost this game? He falls to 2-5. If you add COVID and take away the 2 cheating years, it's 3-3? So he's 500. I mean, he's kind of 500 in my books, to be honest. But either way, if he loses, is he back on the hot seat? I don't think so. But if he loses, misses the playoff, is he on the hot seat? If he loses but makes the playoffs and gets bounced, is he on the hot seat? If he loses and wins 1 playoff game, is he on the hot seat? I don't know. I think if Ryan Day lost at home and it kept him out of the playoffs, I think he would be back on the hot seat. And I think he would probably leave. Maybe he stays for Tavian. I don't know. But that would be rough. Obviously, he would be on the hot seat. Our fan base. Ohio State fans, our fan base. But still. And I guess kind of a fair point. Ryan Day has never beaten Michigan at home. I guess if you... Technically, 2020 could technically count as a win in NCAA rule books. Ohio State, I guess, technically won that game 1-0. Since Michigan... They were sick. They forfeited. And a forfeit in NCAA rulebooks is a 1-0 win. So technically, the Ryan Day beat them at home. But, at least on the field in late November, the last time we have seen Ohio State beat Michigan in Columbus was 2018. Dwayne Haskins was the quarterback. Urban Meyer was the head coach. Zach Smith was the wide receivers coach. And Ryan Day did not have a beard. He was the offensive coordinator. It's been a long time. It's been 8 years. 8 years since Ohio State has beaten Michigan in Columbus. They beat them twice in Ann Arbor, but 0 times at home. So, yeah, I definitely think the storylines for this game will they be as big as the past couple of years? No, because the losing streak. But, tale of 2 number 1 high school prospects. Jeremiah Smith was the number 1 player in 24, and Bryce Underwood was the number 1 player in 25. And now Bryce Underwood, he got his freshman year out of the way. They're both, Jeremiah's in his last year, but Bryce has another year coming back. I think that'll definitely be a storyline. You talk about the head coaches, the Rose Bowl. The Jackson Smith and Jigba game, 347 yards, 13 receptions, 3 touchdowns. Should have been 4. He fumbled one right as he was going to the end zone. So, you talk about 2. I wouldn't even say Kyle Whittingham is a current offensive mastermind, and Ryan Day is kind of starting to lose it. But man, what these 2 used to do back in the day was torching. And the sport has changed. It was an offensive league back then. Now it's a defensive league. But man, how the times have changed. Quickly, I do want to compare each position. I got 10 positions: quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, O-line, D-line, linebacker, cornerback, safety, and kicker. So, starting at quarterback, I have Ohio State over Bryce Underwood, or Julian Saint over Bryce Underwood. I think Ohio State has the edge at quarterback. At running back, I think Bo Jackson is over Jordan Marshall. If it was Justice Haynes, I would pick Justice Haynes. But since it's Jordan Marshall, even Kuzchek I'm still picking Bo Jackson over him. Wide receiver, that's easy. I pick Jeremiah, Christina Jr., Devin McKeown over Andrew Marsh and company. I don't even know the others' names. That's kind of how weak that room is. For tight end, you could go either way. I have Ohio State Hunter Welsing over Zach Marshall, who I think is supposed to be the projected starter. And the only reason why, when I first thought of doing time, I'm like, oh, Michigan above Ohio State. But Hunter Welsing came from Northwestern. I don't know if you watched when Michigan played Northwestern, they could not stop Hunter Welsing. They could not stop him. So, yeah, I got him over. O-line, I am going to give the slight edge to Michigan because they were they were decent last year, and they were so young, and they're getting older. Ohio State has all seniors. And, maybe you could say Ohio State over Michigan, but I've seen it more with Michigan, and I did not like what I saw at the end of last year for Ohio State. And they kind of put Ryan Day and company and Tyler Bowen and said, you know what? We're just going to stick with our guns, stick with our guys, and hope they get better. So I'm going to give the edge to Michigan. Defensive line, Michigan has been getting better. Louis Spoto has continued to coach the defensive line, and they've always been decent. But I'm still going to give the edge to one of the greatest defensive line coaches ever, Larry Johnson. So I'm going to give the edge to Ohio State. Obviously, you got Q Russell, James Smith, the transfer with John Walker. But, man, I think Edric could take a leap this year. And really, Zion Grady and Kenyatta Jackson are going to dominate. So I'm giving the edge to Ohio State. Linebacker, again, giving it to Ohio State. For as good as linebacker has been these past couple years for both programs, this is kind of a down year for it. I trust James Laurinaitis' coaching over Michigan's linebacking coaching. And really, Riley even though he's out for spring, I think Riley Pettijohn is going to be a monster. And obviously, you lost our rivalry since Sonny Styles. So that'll be a big drop-off. But I definitely think Christian Allegro, Peyton Pierce, and Riley Pettijohn can definitely step up. DB, give him to Ohio State. Super veteran. They got the number 1 5-star freshman last year, Devin Sanchez, in his second year. You got Jermaine Matthews in his senior year. Losing Lorenzo Styles and losing Igbinosun is rough. But you are bringing in a couple transfers. Cam Calhoun from Bama. He was actually on the Michigan national title team. He didn't play a single snap. And then Dominic Kelly from Georgia. So I definitely think that the DB room, plus or a little at nickel, I think is going to be completely fine. And then safeties, I'm giving to Ohio State. Jalen McClain was one of the most underrated players last year on Ohio State's defense. And then I think Terry Moore. People say Kenyatta is going to be the best player on this defense. I think Terry Moore is going to be the best player on this defense, replacing Caleb Downs. And I got Michigan second. I mean, they got Rod Moore in the senior year, which has been good, I guess. But, I mean, can he even stay healthy? He's never healthy. And then kicker, I'm finally Ohio State will finally have a better kicker than Michigan with Connor Hawkins, the Hawk from Baylor, who can hit from 50. And then Michigan's replaced. What was their kicker's name last year? Zavada. They're losing Zavada. So, yeah, I'm picking Ohio State. So, out of all 10 positions, Ohio State wins 9 out of 10 except for O-line. Even that was close. But again, yeah, Michigan, they're young, rebuilding team. Next year will be their money year. In Underwood's last year, maybe Whittingham's last year. And so, yeah, we'll see about that. My early predictions for the game, maybe, again, this could be a last hope to get into the playoffs. So we could see absolute thriller movie, or we could see Ohio State with either undefeated or they have 1 loss. They're guaranteed for the playoffs, and Michigan has 4 or 5 losses, and this game doesn't really mean much to them. Which is what Dave Portnoy is going to say. Because remember, in 24, the game doesn't matter. Dave Portnoy said the game doesn't matter. So, and then after they won, the game matters so much. But yeah, this could be desperation mode. This could be slop. Obviously, it's never going to be like slop. But I'm just saying, from a national perspective, this could be the game of the week, or it could be the noon game that you put on when you're waiting for Texas A&M at night. So obviously, the game will always be the most watched game of the regular season. But I'm just saying it could be like the 24 game. But I mean, seeing how the 24 game played off, I mean, even if they have 6 or 5 losses, we might still be tuning in. But my prediction, I think Ohio State will roll, sending the Buckeyes to hopefully Indianapolis again to play in the Big Ten title, beating Michigan. I would like to say they get up in the 30s or 40s, but Ohio State has not scored 30 points against Michigan since 2019. So I'm going to say Ohio State wins 28-19, a little bit of a weird score. This game always has a weird score. I'm going to say 28-19 with Jeremiah having 2 touchdowns. So that is my prediction for the game against Ohio State and Michigan. If you enjoyed today's show, if you want to see a couple more of these, maybe I'll do an Ohio State, Texas too early. If you want to see a too early preview for some of these biggest games heading into next season, let me know. But again, that's all I have for you guys tonight. I'll see you guys all tomorrow. And as always, thank you.